It feels inevitable. No matter where you are, that sense of loneliness always finds you. At some point during the day, in the quiet between one distraction and the next, it shows up. And then you start to realize how empty life has been feeling. No partner, no children, no real friends. And often, even your relationship with your own family doesn't feel solid. The cruelest part is that it doesn't happen all at once. It's gradual, silent, almost unnoticeable. And as counterintuitive as it sounds, the more you try to escape it, the deeper you seem to sink. You begin to isolate yourself. You turn down invitations from the few people who still care. You reply later and later until you stop replying at all. And before you know it, you're alone, sitting on the edge of the bed, mindlessly scrolling through reels or drinking some random beer. And for a few minutes, that emptiness fades. Or at least, it feels like it does. But it comes back. It always does. Because the problem was never loneliness itself. It was the way you learned to deal with it. No one taught you how to be alone without abandoning yourself. So you confuse solitude with isolation, silence with lack of worth, peace with giving up. Little by little, you start to believe there's something wrong with you. That if no one stays, maybe you're not someone worth staying for. And that idea starts to take root. You become more closed off, more guarded, less emotionally available. And then the most painful paradox appears. You crave connection, but push away everything that comes close. Because being alone hurts. But allowing yourself to be seen feels even more terrifying. Prolonged loneliness changes the way you think. It distorts reality. It makes you believe you're falling behind in life, that everyone else moved on except you. And as you watch others build relationships, families, and stories, you start wondering where you went wrong. But the truth is, not all loneliness comes from the absence of people. Sometimes it comes from the absence of presence. You can be surrounded by others and still feel completely alone, because it's not about the number of connections. It's about their depth. Human beings weren't made for shallow connections. Likes don't fulfill you. Quick messages don't sustain you. Distractions don't heal. They only delay the encounter with the emptiness. And the more you run from that encounter, the stronger loneliness becomes. Because it's not trying to punish you. It's trying to show you something. Loneliness shows up when you drift away from yourself, when you live on autopilot, when you abandon your own values, when you go days without asking yourself, what am I really feeling? There's a huge difference between being alone and being disconnected from yourself. The first can be healing. The second is destructive. The problem is, no one talks about this. No one teaches you that learning to be with yourself is a skill, and maybe the hardest one of all, because it requires honesty, it requires silence, it requires facing questions you've been avoiding for years. But here's something important. Loneliness doesn't fade when you distract yourself more. It fades when you reconnect, when you return to things that have meaning, when you create routine, when you take care of your body, your mind, and the space around you. Small acts of presence break large cycles of emptiness. You don't need to suddenly become someone surrounded by people. You need, first, to stop abandoning yourself. Because when you begin to respect yourself, to listen to yourself, to treat yourself like someone who matters, something quietly shifts. The right connections begin to appear, not in quantity, but in quality. And loneliness stops being a hole and becomes a space where you rebuild yourself, where you learn who you are without the noise of the world, where you build a solid foundation before sharing your life with someone else. In the end, loneliness isn't the enemy. It's a signal that something inside you is asking for attention. And the sooner you listen, the less time you'll spend sitting on the edge of the bed, trying to fill a void that was never external.